This is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, 2 inmates at a Southern Kentucky jail are facing additional charges today after they staged an escape attempt. Williamsburg police say one of the inmates had just been convicted of murder. The other was facing murder charges. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more from Williamsburg.
Well, this all happened around 10 o'clock on Friday night, and Williamsburg police say when they got here, they and Kentucky State Police say they found an elaborate scheme for 2 inmates to escape from the Whitley County Jail. Both of these inmates at one time charged with murder. One of them had been recently convicted. Police say Nicholas Rucker and Paul Brock worked to have an inmate have a diabetic emergency, and once 3 jail guards came into that cell, both Brock and Rucker forced the guards into an interior cell with the inmate having the diabetic emergency. They shut the door and jammed the locks, preventing their escape. They charged the control room, threatened to kill that guard if he didn't unlock the doors. Then police say both worked to open a door with the second door all that was left to the outside. But both were arrested as they were attempting to get past that second door.
At the time, it was chaos, because the officers were just told initially that they had inmates escaping the jail. So, the first thought in their mind is that, we've got a mass amount of inmates exiting the jail.
Both Nicholas Rucker and Paul Brock are now facing additional charges. Both are in isolation. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, now back to you.
Well, both Rucker and Brock are facing kidnapping and escape first-degree charges, along with their original charges and respective sentences. To our south, an Alabama inmate and prison guard are both missing after a suspected escape attempt. Officials are looking for Casey White, who is incarcerated on murder charges. It's believed Vicky White, who is not related to Casey, may have aided in his escape. Law enforcement officers say Casey should be considered armed and extremely dangerous. He was being held in jail on capital murder charges and was serving prison time for an earlier crime spree.
And watching some high clouds push back into the mountains this afternoon, but the good news is warm and sunny conditions have graced us with their presence as we've begun this first work week of May. Outside right now, sun is still shining I-75 at Mount Vernon, but you're noticing a few of those high clouds beginning to increase. Plenty of sunshine downtown Whitesburg down Main Street at this hour, sitting at 77. And look at that dew point at 42. Well, 40 degrees also is what I meant there. We're seeing plenty of dry air as well, so it feels actually pretty nice. We're in the mid to upper 70s with not a lot of humidity out there, which makes it a fairly nice afternoon. Unfortunately, this doesn't look to stick around for too much longer. It's a clean sweep on pinpoint Doppler right now, but we look out to the west. You see, 1, the high clouds moving in, and 2, showers and storms over the Ozarks and even into eastern Missouri and shortly into southern Illinois. So that whole system is slowly heading in our direction. For tonight, though, we're dry, but clouds on the increase with temperatures in the low 60s. I'll have the very latest on when storms could move in and if they could be on the strong side coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. The U.S. Supreme Court unanimously ruled the city of Boston violated the First Amendment rights of a group seeking to raise a Christian flag outside of City Hall. The group wanted to raise the flag for 1 hour on a city-owned flagpole as part of a program celebrating Boston's greater community. The court determined the display of 3 flagpoles amounted to a public forum, not government speech. It said many other groups were allowed to raise their flags in celebration of Boston, so the city could not discriminate based on the group's viewpoint. The Congressional Committee investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol has won a legal challenge after Trump-appointed federal judge Timothy Kelly ruled they could continue seeking data about whether the Republican National Committee's fundraising efforts after the 2020 election helped stoke violence at the Capitol. The January 6th committee is preparing to launch public hearings talking about its investigation next month. One Republican member of the committee has some ideas about who should testify, including former Vice President Mike Pence.
I would hope and think that the vice president would want to come in and tell his story because he did do the right thing on that day. If he doesn't, then we'll look at the options we have available to us if there's information we don't already have.
Another blow to the RNC. Judge Kelly rejected their legal arguments of the January 6th committee being illegitimate, saying Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney serves as the GOP's ranking member, giving its subpoenas legitimacy. The White House Correspondents' Dinner, one of the Capitol's biggest social events, returned on Saturday for the first time in 3 years. President Biden was the first commander-in-chief to headline the White House Correspondents' Dinner since 2016. Of course, President Trump never went. This year's dinner drew more than 2,000 journalists, politicians, and yes, a few celebrities who had to be vaccinated and test negative for COVID. But that did not stop the jokes, mostly at the president's expense, in what some in attendance called a distinctly American way.
And Trevor, the really good news is now you get to roast the President of the United States. And unlike in Moscow, you won't go to jail.
I stood here tonight and I made fun of the President of the United States, and I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine, right? Do you really understand what a blessing it is?
The dinner is a lot of fun, but it is also for a good cause. It raises money for journalism scholarships, handing out more than $130,000 this year to 31 students at 15 schools. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Monday. The Dow closes up more than 84 points. The Pike County School District is celebrating the opportunity for growth. More than $14.6 million in funds is being allocated to the district to replace its 62-year-old Millard Area Vocational Center. The announcement comes after legislators moved forward with House Bill 1 during the General Assembly, something educators say is not just about growing the program, but shows a true investment in the future of the region.
Really, the main reason we're excited is for the kids. I've been to several ATCs throughout the state that's newer and a lot more modern than we are, and I'm excited to see our kids in that new facility. I think it's well-deserved.
The Board of Education still has to approve the funding, which Superintendent Dr. Reed Atkins expects will be an exciting vote during the board meeting next Thursday. We'll have more on this project coming up tonight at 6. The price of diesel fuel continues to increase and some truck drivers are struggling. Michael Agbor works for Maitland Trucking and says prices are skyrocketing. He said it costs around $800 to fill up his 18-wheeler tank each time. Today, the national average for diesel reached an all-time high of $5.16 per gallon. Although the cost of fuel is very unpredictable, experts believe high prices could stick around at least until the fall. Beginning Monday, today, Amazon is ending its COVID-19 paid sick leave policy. If U.S. employees test positive for COVID-19, they will receive 5 days of excused but unpaid time off. The previous policy gave employees 7 days of paid leave. The e-commerce giant also announced it will no longer notify workers of positive cases in its facilities unless required by law, and the vaccine incentives program is coming to an end. The month of May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and today is Melanoma Monday, a day to raise awareness for the most serious form of skin cancer. Melanoma is one of the most common cancers found in young adults, especially young women. CBS's Dina Demetrius has one woman's story and her message to others.
Leah Adams says her life forever changed after being diagnosed with melanoma 2.5 years ago. She was 26.
I was embarrassed because I felt like I gave myself cancer, because I thought about all the times I should have worn sunscreen. I shouldn't have gone in a tanning bed.
As her dad was battling melanoma, her family urged her to get a suspicious mole checked.
It was starting to become black in the middle, uneven borders, edges, and there was a red ring.
Tanning beds are high-risk behavior for melanoma and skin cancers, so even one trip to a tanning bed increases your risk of melanoma.
Dr. Melissa Piliong is a Cleveland Clinic dermatologist. The American Academy of Dermatology urges everyone to do regular skin checks. Follow the ABCDE rule: asymmetry, irregular border, varying color, diameter, melanomas are usually more than 6 millimeters, and evolving.
They may have symptoms suddenly like they itch or hurt.
Leah had surgery to remove her melanoma and some lymph nodes to see if the cancer had spread. Luckily, it was caught early.
I realized that I can just keep living a life of my pity party, or I can take what happened to me and share it with others and see if it resonates with someone else that may have had skin cancer or maybe putting off a skin check.
Her message for young women?
If you want to look tan or have a glow, there are so many great options with spray tans or self tanners, and it's way safer than going out in the sun.
She needs skin checks every 3 months and makes sure to protect herself outdoors. Dina Demetrius, CBS News.
Melanoma rates are increasing in the United States and have doubled during the last 30 years. Still to come on First at 4, a triathlete runs his 300th triathlon 9 months after receiving a life-changing diagnosis.
And the next in a series of cold fronts looks to work into the region as we head through the day on our Tuesday. The very latest details are straight ahead.
When justice needs